Notting Hill Carnival, a celebration of culture.
Oh my God!
It's a time for dancing. Even the police get involved. People board up their homes and shops, hey, just as a precaution, like this corner shop.
They've literally graffitied the walls, you know.
I love it.
Yeah. That is mad. Why is it so barricaded?
For safety.
For safety?
Well, yeah, for safety. But for some reason, and I have no idea why, this bookshop felt as though it would be safe from any potential looters. Look, people are just having fun, they're having a good time, but not this resident.
Red light on the forehead of the informant. See, I'm the only one on Gorilla Sims is back here. Just
I tell you, it's Carnival.
Yeah.
We're ready to have a good time.
I'm about to fill our summer.
OK, well, look, the crime stats are in. They landed about half an hour ago. There have been 423 arrests over the 2 main days of Notting Hill Carnival. 2 people have been stabbed. So the updated number of arrests on Sunday was 200. As of 7:45 p.m. this evening, the number of arrests on Monday was 223. Now, a breakdown of these offences are as follows. So, assault on police, 32, possession of an offensive weapon, 46, possession of cannabis, 70, possession of Class A substances, 32, drug supply, 44, robbery, 5, violence with injury, 4, other violence, 36, sexual offences, 18, other offences, 136. And there were a few assaults on police officers lobbed in there yesterday as well, so potentially they have come under other offences today. But the Met Police said that all numbers are subject to some change and totals are likely to increase, so that's good. Police even arrested 100 people and seized dozens of weapons before Carnival even started, which just shows you what they can do when they want to. But we've seen the usual comical headlines, like this one from The Times this morning. Notting Hill Carnival, 140 arrests on an otherwise peaceful Sunday. Brilliant. I mean, I wonder, and hey, it's just me, I wonder if we'll see the same level of weapons offences, assaults on police and sexual assaults at the Unite the Kingdom March on September the 13th. Anyway, let's get the views of my panel. We have got journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee. We have got political commentator Russell Quirk and journalist and broadcaster Benjamin Butterworth. Well, thank you very, very much. I'll start at the far end and work my way down tonight, I think. Russell, what do you make of this? It's quite astonishing number of arrests at Carnival. A celebration of culture or not?
Well, no, it's, I mean, look, it's a crime fest, isn't it? A stab fest. It should be renamed, I think, the Notting Hell Carnival rather than Notting Hill Carnival, frankly. If this was something that was a bit more patriotic on the British side, imagine if this was an event, a festival that was held every April for patriotic people that wanted to celebrate St George's Day, and the same level of criminality were to occur. You know, typically, I mean, it looks like this might actually be a light carnival in terms of crime. Yep. Only 400 offences in terms of arrests, but of course we know that there will be far, far more crimes than that committed. The police probably are under orders not to arrest as many people. Last year, I can tell you, there were 800 arrests. There's always stabbings. In recent years, of course, we've seen people lose their lives, plus sexual offences and so on. This has got to be banned, for goodness sake. I mean, the poor people that live there. Now, I know you can argue, well, that poor woman in the window there that looked on aghast at what was going on yesterday and today. I mean, maybe she's an American that sort of, you know, saw Notting Hill, the film, and thought, well, I'd love to go and live there, and didn't realise that there was a carnival there for 2 days of carnage every August. It's got to be banned. I mean, talk about two-tier policing, the way that they allow it to continue. And by the way, do you know what the policing cost is, Benjamin? Linda?
No.
£12 million for the weekend every year. £12 million of our taxpayers' money to police the carnage.
OK, so earlier today, I was just nipping to the local shop, and where I live, you kind of get the spill out from Carnival, and I saw some people coming back, and actually looked quite jovial, looked quite nice. It was, oh, give them a bit of a wave. I was like, hey, we had a good time. Yeah, we have, yeah. Got what I wanted from the shop, and then I came back from the shop, and there were 3 women who were using the Jamaican flag to cover another woman as she squatted down and urinated on the car next to mine. And I just thought, brilliant. That's great, isn't it?
Dear.
So stuff like that. But I suppose mostly it's just people having a good time, Linda.
Sort of. I did go one year, and I thought it was horrible. I know I sound old-fashioned, and maybe it's just my age, but it was hot and it was sweaty and there were too many people. It was too noisy, and I don't, for one, like spending a day sitting on the curb eating jerk chicken. Thank you. So I never went again. I'm a girl who likes a decent pub garden with a few roses round the door and a half pint of dry cider. Thank you very much. But I think the major problem, and it doesn't often get discussed, I was talking with Peter Blexley, who we all know and love, and he said the major problem there is that it's grown up in this area which has very narrow streets, and the crowds are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and what he fears as a policeman who's covered these events is there'll be some kind of major crushing incident at some point. That's regardless of the crime, regardless of the damage and regardless of anything else, and I think he may well be right.
OK. Now, look, Benjamin, I have been to Carnival. I did have quite a good time, but I was absolutely off my bonce, and it was years ago, so that might have had something to do with it. You know, I am maybe slightly unlike other people. I don't necessarily want it cancelled, but I just think we should be realistic about the level of crime that there is and be honest about that.
I mean, I spent this weekend at Manchester's Pride celebration, which goes on over the whole weekend, and it has huge numbers of people. And I was thinking about how I've never, ever seen so much as a fight at that. You know, it's very safe.
That's interesting.
In 15 years, I've never seen a fight. But what I would say is that I think it's quite unfair the way the headlines portray Notting Hill Carnival, because about 2 million people attend the event, which is a quarter of the population of London. So 400 arrests is not a particularly unusual number, and 2 stabbings is 2 tragedies, but actually among 2 million people in the streets of London, that's probably not unusual.
Hang on,
and so
Benjamin,
I think it's
what
misleading.
you're suggesting is that proportionally it's OK. Perhaps
No,
if
I'm
you
saying
didn't
that
have
you put it in
and you didn't have the
perspective.
2 million people there, then you wouldn't have loss of life, you wouldn't have stabbings, you wouldn't have police officers being assaulted,
Well, that's
you wouldn't
fine,
have
Russell.
the sexual assault, you wouldn't have the shops being looted. Just cancel it and stop it. It's a magnet for crime. It's an encouragement for crime.
I'm sorry, Russell, but I don't believe in cancel culture.
You can't cancel things like
But
that.
cancel
if
something
you want
that
to, if you want
endangers the public's life and costs
But it
the
doesn't-
taxpayer
No, of
£12
course
million.
not. I mean, you cannot do that.
Oh,
That's
come on.
impossible.
It's a Puritan way to look at the world.
It's the wrong thing to do. That's the
think?
wrong thing to do.
I totally
You
disagree.
have to allow these events to happen, and you have to police them correctly. There's some thought that this could lead to Hyde Park. I'm not sure whether that's feasible, but you do need to adjust these events. But you can't just ban them.
Yeah, but how do you police it?
Because we don't live in
how
North
do you police
Korea,
it? Do we
Russell.
spend £20 million and have more police officers? Do you really think that would stop the stabbings and the sexual assaults?
Well, but
and,
can
and
I
the
just say,
looting?
though,
it's not going to. It's not a policing
That's not
issue.
what
By this-
it's inbuilt criminality in
it's
that
not.
environment.
No, I don't
Well, of course
think
it
that's
is,
true.
because we see the numbers every
I don't like
single
it, but I
year.
don't think it's true. I don't think your point is true. Of course,
Well, you
you've
don't
got
think
to-
the facts of the criminality is true?
No, I think
that
the
we've just read
facts
out.
are there, and the facts are there for many big events, and you look to the police to police them correctly.
But hang
You
on,
don't just
no,
ban
I
them.
went to the Rolling Stones
You
last
can't
summer.
ban
I went to
them.
the Rolling Stones. There were about
That's- we're not
80,000
in a
people
suburb
there.
of
I didn't stab
Pyongyang.
anybody, and I didn't see anybody getting
Well,
stabbed.
let me put this to you. I think it's September the 13th was supposed to be this Unite the Kingdom march in London, right? And so we could be getting, I don't know, but potentially, let's just say, if we're going to pick a number out of thin air, about 1 million people, let's just say 1 million people turn up to it.
I mean, there won't be 1 million people because that would be the biggest march ever.
OK, fine, all
Which is
right,
how many
fine.
won?
It
1 million
might be.
won the Iraq War march.
It might
OK,
be.
fine. All right. Well, let's do 500,000, whatever you want to say. I could be wrong about this, but I hope I'm not wrong, because that would have meant it's kicked off. But I don't know if we're going to be getting all of these weapons arrests, the drug arrests, the sexual assault arrests that we are there. However, the media is going to cover those two things very differently, aren't they? We have the Times there, you know, largely peaceful.
Apart from the 140
arrests. You know, you've got the BBC just doing, celebration of colour, this isn't Carnival, hey, fantastic, look at all the brightly coloured outfits, all of that stuff. Whereas I think this Patriots March, whatever it's called, is going to be treated as this big far-right fascist event through London, and people are going to be told to
where
suck it
everyone will
down.
be
That's not
kettled.
fair.
Yeah, everyone want to be kettled and arrested for dropping their phone on the floor or whatever, as we saw in Westminster
No, I'm looking forward
last
to that. I'd
summer.
like a good Patriots March. That would be a really good...
I mean, the
think
truth
that's a good
is-
thing
It will
to
be
have.
treated
It
differently.
should all be there.
But it will be treated differently.
With the St George's flag.
Yeah,
The truth is,
of them, I think, yeah.
the truth is that, you know, if you were to look at Wembley football matches, for example, I don't know, there must be 80,000 people there. I dare say there are lots of drug offences or under-the-radar drug offences that happen in a place like that. So some of it is to do with the nature of the event, that people are out, you know, having a fun time, for want of a better phrase, and so that invites that kind of behaviour. And so and there's lots of police, so there are probably more people in possession of illegal substances that get caught and doing drug dealing than would otherwise, but that's the nature of it. And I'm afraid you just can't live in this Puritan way where you say, because you don't like it, because it attracts some problems, that the 1.99 million people that have a great time
because
shouldn't get that.
it is largely, not entirely, but largely a celebration of Caribbean culture. Do you think they get a bit of slack there?
No, quite the opposite.
Well, you say that, but I do think, genuinely, again, I'm not saying we should cancel it. I'm not really of the view to cancel it. However, I do think, really, just looking at it on paper, if you had an event like this every single year and it wasn't a celebration of Caribbean culture, it would be cancelled.
No, actually, I think some of the criticism is quite racially coded. It's the idea of sort of angry black people that can't be controlled. I think that's the way some people try to perceive it when they say there's been so many crimes, when actually those crimes are relatively not that high. It doesn't make it OK, but it's the nature of 2 million people. And just think about the huge contribution it makes to the economy there. There'll be so many small businesses from that community that will thrive on this weekend. It probably keeps them afloat all year.
Hang on, we're
No, I don't
gaslighting
think
the
they
hell out of ourselves and the audience here. If we honestly think that just because there's 2 million people in a place, that proportionally there are bound to be, for instance, 800 arrests, loss of life, people being stabbed, police officers being assaulted, sexual assault, rape, people urinating in the streets. I mean, how many people come into London on a daily basis as commuters? I don't see people stabbing themselves or stabbing other people at Liverpool Street or urinating on people at Waterloo Station.
Yeah, but with all
or
due
at
respect,
King's Cross,
I think you struggle to find a
sexually
football
assaulting or
match.
looting the local Costco or Starbucks. Just because there's a gathering of people, it doesn't mean there's an excuse for them to misbehave.
I think you
This
struggle
thing
to
is
find a
toxic.
football match where
This
people
thing
don't
is
tee
toxic.
outside.
There is also the fact that everyone boards everything up like a few days in advance. They feel like they have to do that because they have to, though.
Yeah.
And that implies something, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm of the view that maybe it should be moved where it would be easier to police and you would neutralise the possibility of a big crushing event, because I think we're very, very close to that some years. And you know, you've only got to think about Hillsborough and what can happen. You could have a lot of people who would die in that event.
And I think that is the real danger. They've talked about ticketing it so that you could manage the numbers.
Yeah.
I suspect it would be impossible because it's such a
You
porous place.
ring-fence
the
Notting
London
Hill.
Underground is supposed to be ticketed. No people just barging.
You have to ring-fence
Yeah.
Notting Hill. It's just impractical.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, the reality is, I would have thought that the only people with the serious power to cancel it will be the London Mayor
or the Commissioner of the Police.
Which he's both of those things, I think, isn't he?
Well, you've got the Police Commissioner, which is Mark Rowley,
Right.
and then obviously you've got Sadiq Khan, who's effectively the Police and Crime Commissioner.
Exactly, yes. And if he wants to get re-elected, which I imagine he does,
He won't cancel
you
it.
will not cancel
Well, I don't think he wants to
Oh.
get re-elected because he's not standing again. But
Is he not? Definitely?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. But I don't. I think the problem is the scale of it rather than anything else.
That is the issue. It's the size.
All right, OK. Look, just a very, very minor correction here. We were throwing a lot of figures out before. So there were 334 arrests officially last year, not 800. And arrest numbers are usually between 250 and 450, apparently. This year, it's already almost 100 up on the total of last year. And obviously, we expect that to increase a bit more. So there we go. Right.